From the penthouse window, the lights of Manhattan looked like a carpet of diamonds, but for Serena, they felt as cold as the glass under her fingertips. This sprawling apartment overlooking Central Park, a palace of minimalist art and sterile white surfaces, was supposed to be a testament to their success. Tonight, like most nights, it just felt empty. It was late October, and the crisp autumn air outside seemed warmer than the atmosphere in their home. Serena, a poised woman in her 40s, pulled her elegant lounge robe tighter. She had been a corporate lawyer, sharp and driven, before dedicating her life to managing the Bennett Foundation, the charitable organization she and her husband, Arthur, had founded. She was restless waiting. The dinner their private chef had prepared hours ago sat cold on the sideboard. She idly touched the heavy gold clasp of her purse, a 6th anniversary gift from Arthur. She remembered how he used to look at her, back when their shared passion for the foundation felt like a partnership, not just her project. Before everything had shifted, Arthur finally emerged from his study, already loosening his tie. He was a man in his 50s, still charismatic, but the energy he now gave off was one of perpetual distraction. "Long day," he muttered, heading not for her, but for the bar. He barely glanced at the cold food. They sat at opposite ends of a massive, museum-quality dining table. The silence was deafening. Serena cleared her throat, determined to connect. "Arthur, we need to finalize the seating for the mayor's table at the gala. I'm not sure where to place the new councilman." The gala was her passion, their biggest fundraiser of the year, and she had meticulously planned every detail. Arthur waved a hand dismissively, his eyes locked on the phone screen resting by his plate. "Handle it, Serena. Whatever you think is best. That's your world." A slight, unfamiliar smile played on his lips as he read something on his screen. The casual sting of his words, "your world," as if the foundation she bled for wasn't real business like his real estate empire, was a familiar ache. "Is everything all right at the office?" she asked, her voice quiet. He replied too quickly, his tone sharp. "Just business. You wouldn't understand." He pushed back his chair, his food untouched. As Arthur stood to leave the table, his phone buzzed, vibrating loudly on the polished wood. Serena glimpsed the name on the screen, Jessica, before he snatched it up and walked away, saying, "I need to take this. Office emergency." He just took a call from Jessica. We all know the feeling when that tension enters the room. If you are still watching and you are picking up on these valuable details, let me know you're here by commenting with the number 8 below. And if you haven't already, I truly recommend you subscribe to the Black King channel and hit that notification bell. Serena's story is just getting started, and you don't want to miss how she handles this. Your support helps us continue creating powerful content that informs and inspires. Now, let's continue. The new assistant, Jessica, was exactly the type Arthur's company always hired. Young, blonde, sharp, and, as Serena quickly realized, utterly ruthless. Serena remembered the name from Arthur's phone the night before. This wasn't just an office emergency. This was the new hire he'd mentioned weeks ago but had never formally introduced. Driven by an instinct she couldn't ignore, Serena decided to stop by the office, using the gala seating charts Arthur had forgotten at home as an excuse. She arrived, dressed in a sharp professional suit, feeling the need to assert her presence. The atmosphere in the Midtown office was tense. She found Jessica not in the assistant's bay, but at the main executive desk, right outside Arthur's office. Jessica was sorting Arthur's personal tie collection for his upcoming trip to Chicago. Jessica stood as Serena approached, her bright, synthetic smile perfectly in place. "You must be Mrs. Bennett. Arthur has told me so much about you." "It's an honor." The tone was flawlessly polite, but the look in her eyes was one of pity, as if Serena was a project, not a partner. Arthur emerged from his office, his face immediately clouding with irritation. "Serena, what are you doing here? I could have sent a courier for those." He ushered her out, bypassing Jessica, who watched them go. In the car on the way to a lunch Serena now dreaded, she finally confronted him. "She was organizing your ties, Arthur. That's not an executive assistant's job. It's intimate." Arthur scoffed, his hands tightening on the steering wheel. "You're being paranoid," he snapped. "Are you really that insecure? She's the best assistant I've ever had, and I won't have you harassing her. Don't be that kind of wife, Serena. It's unbecoming." The prejudice in his words was clear. He was implying she, his black wife, was inherently jealous and irrational, while Jessica, the young white assistant, was just doing her job. Serena fell silent, the word unbecoming echoing in her head. Back at the penthouse, Serena saw an invitation for the gala on her desk. A +1 for Jessica has been added to the master list, an edit made directly from Arthur's personal computer. The night of the gala arrived, glittering and false, and Serena felt like she was putting on armor, not a custom-made gown. The ballroom at the plaza was a sea of black tie and designer dresses, the air thick with the scent of expensive perfume and the murmur of hundreds of conversations. This event was her creation, the culmination of a year's work for the foundation. Yet, standing beside Arthur, she felt like an imposter. He was in his element, charming the donors, his hand resting possessively on the small of her back. But Serena knew that hand was for show. She remembered his warning, "Don't be that kind of wife," and she held her smile in place, a strained, perfect mask. Then Jessica arrived. She was late, and she had worn white. Not just white, but a stark, figure-hugging dress that seemed designed to compete, to conquer. She walked straight past Serena, ignoring her completely, and went to Arthur. She fixed his bow tie, her hand lingering on his chest for a moment too long, her smile intimate. Serena watched, her blood turning to ice, as Arthur laughed and leaned in to whisper something in Jessica's ear. The humiliation only deepened. During the speeches, Serena took the stage first, thanking the donors with heartfelt sincerity. Then Arthur took the podium. He thanked his brilliant team, and then with a grand gesture, he said, "And a special thanks to Jessica, who really pulled all this together. I couldn't have done it without her." The slight was deliberate, a public erasure of Serena's work. The room fell quiet for a beat. Donors looked confused. Several looked at Serena with open pity. Serena's smile never wavered, but a pounding migraine began to bloom behind her eyes. She couldn't watch them flirting by the champagne tower a moment longer. She found Arthur, his back to her, laughing with Jessica. "I'm not feeling well, Arthur," she said, her voice low. "I need to leave." Arthur turned, his face darkening with annoyance at being interrupted. "We'll leave when I'm ready," he hissed, his voice barely a whisper. "Don't make a scene." Feeling sick, humiliated, and utterly alone, Serena made a decision. She wouldn't wait. "Fine. I'll wait in the car." She turned and walked out of the ballroom alone, her head high, her hands shaking, leaving the whispers and the pity behind her. As Serena waited for the elevator in the lobby, she heard the sharp click-clack of heels on the marble behind her. "Going somewhere, Mrs. Bennet?" "It's Jessica." Jessica just followed her to the elevator after that complete humiliation at the gala. The tension is real. If you are still watching this video and you feel that injustice right alongside Serena, let me know you are standing with her by commenting with the number 8 below. Here at Black King, we are all about showing the resilience of the crown, and Serena's is being tested. You know, this confrontation in the garage is where everything changes. If you haven't subscribed yet, I strongly recommend you do it now and hit that notification bell. You do not want to miss what happens next. Your support helps us continue to create great content that informs and inspires. Now, let's continue. The parking garage was cold and smelled of damp concrete, but the air crackled with a far more dangerous energy than the party upstairs. Serena saw Jessica's smug look from the gala and realized this confrontation was exactly what Jessica had wanted. Outside, a distant rumble of thunder echoed, a prelude to the coming storm. Jessica blocked Serena's path to the car, her polite mask gone, replaced by a cold, triumphant sneer. "He doesn't love you, you know," Jessica said, her voice dripping with venom. "He's only with you because the foundation makes him look good." Serena, though shaking, held her ground. "Get out of my way, Jessica. I'm not doing this with you." As Serena tried to pass, Jessica made her move. She grabbed her own arm and raked her fingernails down her skin, drawing blood. Then, Jessica threw herself violently backward against a neighboring SUV and let out a piercing scream. "She's attacking me. Help! She's crazy." Seconds later, Arthur came running from the elevator, his face thunderous. He ran straight past Serena, ignoring her completely, and went to Jessica, who had collapsed into a sobbing heap. "She attacked me, Arthur," Jessica cried, holding up her bleeding arm. "Just because you thanked me." Arthur turned to Serena, his face a mask of pure disgust. You've gone too far, Serena." He didn't ask a single question. He didn't look for any other explanation. "Arthur, she's lying. I never touched her," Serena pleaded, the words dying in her throat. He silenced her with a look. "Get in the car. Now." The drive was suffocatingly silent, the only sound the roar of the thunderstorm that had broken overhead. Rain lashed against the windshield. Arthur drove erratically, his knuckles white on the steering wheel. Suddenly, he jerked the car to the side, pulling over on a dark, isolated stretch of highway. Before Serena could react, he was out of the car and had yanked her door open. The wind and rain flooded the car. He unbuckled her seatbelt and, with a snarl, grabbed her arm, physically dragging his wife out of the car. "You are an embarrassment," he snarled, throwing her onto the wet gravel shoulder as the rain soaked her gown instantly. He got back in the car, and Serena watched in horror as his taillights disappear into the storm. Drenched, shivering, and abandoned, Serena believed she had hit rock bottom. She never expected salvation to arrive in a rust-spotted pickup truck. She was walking barefoot, her ruined heels lost miles back, the fabric of her designer gown tearing on the gravel. Cars sped past, spraying her with dirty highway water. Her mind flashed back to the coldness in Arthur's eyes as he drove away. It wasn't anger, it was indifference. She realized that the man she married was truly gone, or perhaps the man she loved had never really existed at all. Just as her knees were about to buckle, an old pickup truck, its engine rumbling, pulled over. The passenger window rolled down with a squeal. "Good Lord, child," a warm, steady voice called out. "Get in before you catch your death." The driver was a woman in her mid-60s, with kind eyes and gray hair pulled back in a simple bun. She introduced herself as Mildred Gable, or just Mrs. Gable. She didn't ask what happened. She just cranked the heat, wrapped a worn blanket from the back seat around Serena's shoulders, and drove to the next exit. She took Serena to the Beacon, a 24-hour diner that glowed like a safe harbor in the storm. The air inside smelled of hot coffee and old vinyl. Mrs. Gable sat her in a booth, then returned with 2 steaming mugs and a slice of apple pie. "Here," she said, pushing the pie towards Serena. "Eat. It helps." As Serena's hands warmed around the mug, Mrs. Gable patted her hand gently. "Men do stupid things, honey. Lord knows I buried one who did his share. But a man who does this." She gestured to Serena's ruined state. "That's not a man, that's a monster." Mrs. Gable lent Serena her phone. Her fingers, still numb, fumbled as she dialed her sister. Her sister picked up on the first ring, screaming. "Serena, oh my God, are you okay? Turn on the news. You're everywhere." Serena looked up at the small TV mounted in the diner's corner. And there it was. Crystal clear security footage from the hotel garage, playing on a loop. It showed Jessica, clear as day, throwing herself against the SUV. It showed her raking her own nails down her arms. The cheer-in on the screen read, "NYC billionaire's wife falsely accused?" As she stared, Mrs. Gable's phone, still in Serena's hand, started ringing nonstop. The screen read, "Arthur." It rang again. Arthur's lawyer. Then Arthur's PR. Mrs. Gable looked at the ringing phone, then at Serena's pale, shocked face, and simply reached over, sliding the off button. "You'll answer when you're ready, dear," Mrs. Gable said, signaling the waitress for more coffee. Looks like the storm just broke. By morning, Arthur's empire was crumbling, but Serena wasn't watching the news. She was drafting her divorce papers. The media frenzy was instantaneous. The video from the garage, juxtaposed with photos of Serena's ruined gala gown, was catastrophic. Investors pulled out millions. The foundation's board convened an emergency meeting and voted unanimously to oust Arthur. Jessica was fired, and after trying to press charges, she was arrested for filing a false police report and perjury. Serena sat in a prestigious law office, the crisp autumn air outside matching her newfound clarity. She remembered her legal career before Arthur, the drive and the fight she had poured into her work. The unbecoming wife Arthur had accused her of was gone. The woman sitting here now was the lawyer he had first met, sharp, focused, and ready. Her lawyer was gleeful. The infidelity clause in the prenup, combined with the public footage of his abandonment and the proof of his affair, gave them ironclad leverage. But Serena didn't want his fortune. She didn't want the penthouse, the cars, or the art. She wanted one thing. Weeks later, she walked into the boardroom of the foundation, not as the billionaire's wife, but as the new chairwoman. The staff, who had long witnessed the truth, gave her a spontaneous standing ovation. She walked to the window, the same view of Manhattan from Chapter 1, but it no longer looked cold. It looked full of purpose. Her first act as chairwoman was to announce a new scholarship program, funded entirely by her personal divorce settlement, specifically for underprivileged women who'd faced betrayal, the Serena's Shelter Initiative. An envelope sits on her new desk. It's a simple handwritten thank you card with a $20 donation check enclosed, signed, "With kindness, Mrs. Mildred Gable." In the quiet aftermath of the storm, Serena's journey reminds us that true character is often hidden beneath the surface, waiting to be revealed not by wealth, but by adversity. When we choose to see past the assumptions and prejudices that divide us, we open the door to real compassion. Like a single kind light in the darkness, one simple act of trust, like the one Mrs. Gable offered, can be enough to guide a person home. If this story touched your heart, perhaps consider passing that warmth along to someone who may need it most.